Hello everyone, welcome to the Upstream Workshop. I am so excited you are here today taking the time to invest in yourself and on your dreams. I am Karen Valadares and today I am going to show you how to travel for 1 year without busting your career and your bank account. I'm assuming you have a dream to travel long term and discover how amazing this world is on your own terms. And that's why I'm here for. I want to show you how to make that happen. So my goal for this presentation is to help people understand what they need to do to be able to travel long term, for example, for a whole year. You will see how you can live life on your own terms through this experience, and I will teach you how to set goals and take action to make this happen. So that's the goal for this workshop. Before I start, let me introduce myself. I am 33 years old, I'm Brazilian, but I have been living in Australia for the past 10 years. I like to think of myself as an easygoing person, and most of the time I try to be a very positive person. I love being around people, I have tons of friends, really good friends all around the world. I love eating good food, I love nature, I love good challenge, I love discovering new things, I love learning about other cultures, and of course, I love traveling. I like to say I'm an upstreamer. What is an upstreamer, you ask me? It's anyone part of the travel upstream movement. If you want to find out more what this movement stands for, I have a dedicated page for it on wetravelupstream.com website. Let me take you there quickly. See, here we are. The movement is about believing in freedom, that long-term travel can bring the best in us, and that we want to live life to the fullest, and most importantly, on our own terms. Have you identified yourself with this movement? I bet you have. So you can also join us when you have a chance. But let's go back to the slides. I always like to travel, and I had the opportunity to travel long term twice before I got into this upstreamer journey. Once as an exchange student in US when I was 16 years old and I had no English at all. Here are some pictures from back that time. Oh dear, me as a cheerleader. And then again, after university, I came to Australia. It turns out I fell in love with an Australian guy and I decided to move here, and here I am almost 11 years later. Back then, when I decided to move to Australia, I didn't really think about the consequences of this choice and what it would mean to live so far away from my family and friends. Australia is literally one of the farthest places I could choose to live, isn't it? Also some pictures from back then. That's my partner, the reason why I'm here. Anyway, it was only a few years ago when I read an article where this girl moved overseas and she was sharing her struggles. And one of them was that suddenly she realized she became the auntie from Skype. Her decision to move overseas years back now had this impact on her life where she could only see her nephew once every 2 years, if that. So on a random Saturday afternoon, I was telling Liam, my partner, that I could relate to that. I wasn't an auntie yet, but I knew the time would come for me one day, and I was already scared about how I would feel. I wanted to do something to change that, but I didn't know what. So we talked a bit more about it and move on to the next subject. And there was plenty up to buy a house in Australia. Oh dear. Suddenly I freaked out and I realized these two goals didn't complement each other. And I needed to find a way to gain the flexibility needed to be in both worlds, Brazil and Australia. I was following some digital nomads at the time, working and traveling around the world, living the dream. And at that moment, I threw out the question, what if we go travel? But like for 3 months at least, and we find a way to work as we go. Liam got super excited and he said, yes, yeah, I'm in. I'm not sure if he actually knew I was serious about it at the time, but I was. So at that moment, stuck in traffic on my way to the shopping center near our house, I was convinced I wanted to travel long term again. But this time I was looking to find a different path for myself. A path where I could be part of my yet to be born nephew or niece's life. And that moment, my goal was to live on my own terms, and being able to move around as I wish was the main part of it. I didn't want external factors such as job and free time dictating if I could see my family and friends or not. I didn't want to have to ask my boss permission to go see them and hope they would say yes, for example. But at the time, I had no idea how to achieve that. It was just a wish. I always believed the secret of happiness and having a good life was to create memories with the people you love. I have moved to the other side of the world for love, but I still felt something was missing. I realized that not spending time with my family and friends back in Brazil played a big part on it, and it felt I was missing out. I had no idea what to do to get the freedom I was seeking. I decided to quit my job, create my own online marketing business, and go travel with no return date. I wanted to try out the digital nomad lifestyle, and so I did. I visited 25 countries, more than 60 cities for a total of 16 months. It was amazing. But I have to tell you, from the moment I made the decision to go until the day I left, I felt overwhelmed by the amount of travel information on the internet and frustrated for not being able to find specific long-term travel content. There were only bits and pieces here and there, mainly from bloggers in a very personal level, that most of the time didn't really apply to me. So looking back now, I was all over the place and there were not many people I could talk to or guide me through the process. It was pretty much a try and error approach. I had money saved up for the first 3 months on the road, and I managed to make enough to keep me on the road until I came back 16 months later. At the time, we wanted to spend some time back in Australia, but returning would cost us more. As you might know, Sydney is super expensive. And I was also tempted with a job offer paying almost double what I used to earn before traveling. And to be honest, I was a bit tired of traveling and I missed having my own place, my own bed. So I said yes to the job offer and I was back to the 9 to 5 office job in Australia. Less than a year later, my best friend got pregnant and all the anti from Skype fears came back. Before it was just a concern for the future. Now it was real, it was happening. I wanted to be there without a deadline to return. At the same time, another close friend was getting married in Germany and I wanted to be part of this moment with her. Then we also wanted to go to the World Cup in Russia. Oh dear, how would I do all of this having a 9 to 5 job? And here I go again, I felt trapped. So the goal of living on my own terms and being able to move around as I wish got stronger again. But this time I knew by experience what I had to do to get on the road again. I'm a project manager, meaning I manage the build and maintenance of websites. So I looked at it as a project that I had to manage. So I did it for myself, using project management strategies to plan every step before I took off, made the whole process super easy. I was able to set myself goals and I achieved them within 6 months. And that was when I realized that anyone can do it, and I wanted to be that person helping them to travel long term. And off I went again traveling, but this time focused on helping others to live on their own terms and using long term travel as a tool to start this process. So I quit my job again, and this time I stayed on the road for 7 months and visited 7 countries. I looked at myself and how the long term travel changed me. I asked myself if traveling long term was the only way I could have the freedom I was after. I questioned what traveling long term was for me and for others. I knew what motivated me to travel, but I wanted to know what motivated others travelers to travel long term. What obstacle they had to overcome, how challenging the process of getting on the road was for them, and so on. I also wanted to understand why people say it's their dream to travel long term, but yet they don't do anything to achieve that. I had millions of unanswered questions in my head, and I used these 7 months to get answers. And here are some pictures from this trip. I managed to work from places like this one, which is beautiful. I met this little one, which is my best friend's son. He's adorable. I spent time with my sister in Paris. I went to Germany. I went for her wedding. So her name is Tina, and I met her on my first long-term travel experience in US, like long time ago. We were just 16 at the time, and she went to my wedding in Brazil, and now I managed to go to her wedding in Germany, which was beautiful, was amazing. And here are some more pictures from Germany because we did a little bit of traveling around there as well. And we went to the World Cup in Russia, which was something that we really want to do, and it was so much fun, a great experience. And I also managed to go to Malta. I wanted to experience the co-living lifestyle, and I went there for a little bit, and it was also beautiful. So I focus on the reasons and obstacles people had. I focus on understanding my own journey so far. I understood there is no one model fits all when it comes to travel long term. It highlights our desires and our fears. It forces us to leave our comfort zone, make big decisions, take a risk. And all of that is very particular for each person. As I start talking to others about my experience, my learnings, and mainly the project management techniques I use to make it happen, I saw I was not just motivating them, but also guiding them to jump on their own long-term travel experience. That is when I realized that treating a long-term travel experience as a project and managing it as such would allow anyone to get on the road and travel for as long as they wanted to. And that it was my aha moment. So the key is to treat long-term travel as a project. It's kind of like when I manage a website build at my current office job. The client has a list of high-level requirements and a budget. It's my job to understand what these requirements are in a deeper level, break them down into features, then again into tasks. I will prioritize the deliverables based on the client's business goals, manage the resources and assets throughout the process in order to deliver the website within the time frame and budget available. Can you see the similarities? Let me point it out if you haven't noticed yet. As a traveler, you will have a list of places you want to go, a list of things you want to do, and a budget in mind. When you treat it as a project, you, as the project manager, will need to understand what type of travel you want and all the things you will have to do to make it happen by a certain date. Therefore, you will set yourself goals and break down them into action items. You will prioritize them so you can act on the high priority ones first before you move to the next one. And as you work through your list of tasks, you have to manage people expectations and make sure you have the right information in hand. All this within a time frame and a budget predefined. Got it? After traveling long-term 4 times, I also realized that I don't want to travel long-term forever. What? Yes, I discovered that I do like routine, and that's okay. I know it's shocking. I do like having an office job actually. I'm usually more productive in an office environment. My goal then is to live my life on my own terms. To me, this means to have the flexibility to go if I want to do so, but not necessarily I will. However, the journey of going on a long-term travel and everything I learned from it showed me this is possible, gave me the confidence I needed to believe in myself first and foremost. This reflected in everything else in my life. I now work part-time where I can focus on my passion project in the morning, travel upstream. I work in an office in the afternoon, being a project manager, which is something I really like to do. I live by the beach, I spend time with people I love here in Australia, and when I feel I need to move around again, I will. Now I know there are so many ways to achieve this flexibility. For example, I have already negotiated to work remotely from Europe for a few weeks this year so I can see my sister in Paris, visit friends in Germany, go to a wedding in Portugal, and then I'll go to US to see my newborn nephew and spend Christmas with my family in Brazil. and the soon-to-be-born nephew or niece. As long as I have the flexibility to go, be part of the life of the people I love, I feel I'm living on my own terms. And that is the point. You are probably thinking that living life on your own terms doesn't mean to have the flexibility to move around as it means to me. But long-term travel will help you achieve whatever that might be. So think about it. What does living life on your terms means to you? That's a very important question. Here's how most of us live our lives. We wake up, we mindlessly scroll social media, maybe we go for some exercise, just maybe. You are off to work, you come home, cook dinner, watch TV, and go to bed counting the minutes for the weekend to arrive. Am I right? You are on the repeat mode, inside of this routine box, living a life that you fell into, inside your comfort zone, just going with the flow. The nature of a long-term travel will shake all these things up from the moment you decide to go. Long-term travel automatically gets you to step out of your comfort zone. Take a risk, make big decisions like quitting your job, for example. Then, as you travel, it puts you in challenging situations. It pushes you to embrace the unknown. It introduces you to new ways of thinking, living, and problem solving. It gives you the option to choose what to do next, where to go next. It lets you experience freedom in a whole new level. And most important, long-term travel gives you time to focus on yourself, think about what you want and why. It gives you time to get yourself answers and define what living life on your own terms means to you. All that by having fun and discovering how beautiful this world is. And that, my friend, is the best investment you can ever give yourself. So, here's what we're going to cover in the next 30 minutes. You are probably thinking that traveling is too expensive. Well, it can be a lot cheaper than what your current monthly expenses are. You're probably thinking that manage a project this big is too much of work. I will show you the whole process can be smooth with the right approach. And you might be also thinking that you would do it, but you don't have the courage to do so. Well, you can instigate this courage in many different ways. I will show you how. Come with me. But before I start, I just want to make sure you have received this exercise worksheet along with this video and you have printed out. This is a very hands-on workshop and we will get a lot more value if you do the exercise as I go through them. Trust me on this one. Are you ready? Are you ready to start planning your 1 year long trip? Are you ready to start the workshop? So let's start by understanding what type of trip you would like to do. So forget about this video for a second. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let your mind free to go anywhere. You have a whole year to do whatever you want. Where would be your first stop? Where would you go next? Are you traveling solo or with someone else? Are you following the sun? Or do you prefer the cooler weather? Think about what type of travel you want. Do you see yourself hiking mountains, relaxing by the beach, eating street food somewhere exotic, or skydiving in a paradisiac place? Do you see yourself working from cool cafes and workstations around the world? Do you see yourself learning a new skill while traveling? What type of trip do you see yourself in? Is it your dream here? So dream big. You can do whatever you want. Let your heart guide you in this dream. Picture yourself doing it. Where are you now? What is around you? What it smells like? How do you feel being there? Now, take another deep breath, open your eyes, and slowly come back to the workshop. Are you back here with me? Because I want you to write down this dream. In your worksheet, you have a space to write this down. I want you to write down what type of trip you dreamed of and how it felt living that dream. I am asking you to write it down because writing down what is in your mind can be beneficial in many different ways. You will see, I will be asking you to write few things down as we move through the workshop. This is so important because when you write things down, you have a better chance to remember later. It gives you more clarity and focus on that topic. From the goal setting point of view, it's also a way to reaffirm your goals. Some studies have shown that only by writing your goals down, the chances of you succeeding can increase up to 40%. That's a huge percentage. Done? Now I want you to think about the reasons why you want to travel for 1 year. Have you done a brainstorm before? That is what we're going to do here. It's time to write down all the reasons that comes to your mind. It's a thought download process. Don't restrict anything, any thought, just let it go. Let me go through my own reasons so you can see how this brainstorm session works. So I traveled long term 4 times before and I had different reasons every time. For this brainstorm session, I thought about the reasons I had before I went on my last long term trip, early 2018. Here is what I came up with. I wanted to have time to build my own online business. I wanted to work on it full time. It was cheaper to travel than actually live in Sydney if I quit my job. I was super stressed at my office work and I needed to have a break. I wanted to have time to focus on my mind and my body health. My best friend was pregnant and I wanted to spend quality time with her and the little one. I was a bit homesick and I wanted to spend quality time with my family back in Brazil. And I wanted to travel quite a bit just in 1 year. I wanted to go to Brazil in February. I wanted to go to Germany in June for a wedding. I wanted to go to Russian World Cup for a few weeks in July. And having an office job wouldn't let me do all of this. So travel would solve that problem. And I wanted that flexibility to move around so bad. I met a lot of people traveling and I usually speak with a lot of people willing to do the same. And from this conversation, I can see common reasons emerge. For example, they are unhappy at their current job and they want to try something new. Can you relate to this one? This is actually a big one. Or they want to build their own business. It's something very trendy at the moment. They want to learn another language. They want to get overseas work experience. They want to study something specific. Or maybe they want to find themselves, which is also another big reason for a lot of people. Or maybe they just want a big adventure. These are some reasons from others. I need you to be honest with yourself and write the reasons that you have. Dig deeper into your mind so you can find the real reasons that will motivate you to go. There's a very interesting technique I learned the other day. Ask yourself why at least a few times. For example, I am not happy at my work. Why? Because it's very stressful. Why? Because I feel I can't get everything done in time. Why? Because I haven't done it before and I'm figuring out things as I go. Why? Because I didn't get a specific training on it. Boom! A more specific reason emerged from I am not happy at work. In this scenario, you might want to travel long term to improve your knowledge in this specific area, becoming less stressed and happier at your work in the future. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes to brainstorm. Let me put some music to light up the mood while you write everything that's in your mind. 5 minutes is up. The next step in this exercise is to group your thoughts, your reasons into categories. You can name your category whatever you want. Let me show you my example. So in my case, I chose self-improvement as one category, people, work, and lifestyle as my categories. And I pretty much just copy and paste the reasons into these categories, yeah? So please do the same in your worksheet. Done. Now I want you to look at these categories and I want you to prioritize them from top to bottom. Let me show you how I did with mine. So for me, it was people, followed by work, lifestyle, and then self-improvement. What is your top reason to travel? Tell me. Mine, as you know, was having the flexibility, the freedom to spend time with the people I love. That was my top reason. Take a minute to absorb this finding. That is what will motivate you. That is what will drive you to take action to achieve your goal of traveling for 1 year. Okay, now it will get even more exciting. We are going to dive in on the reasons stopping you to travel long term. Let's brainstorm. Before I give you some time to start your brainstorm session, let me share with you what was holding me back before I went on my around the world trip in 2015. I will use this trip as an example as I think more of you will relate to it. At that time, I had few things holding me back. So I definitely didn't have enough money saved for a long-term trip. Too many questions in my head if that was a crazy thing to do. I was in a very good job, in a very good company with lots of potentials to grow, and I was afraid that traveling, was the wrong decision. And I had lack of support from close friends. It was a crazy thing to do from their point of view. And I had concerns if I would get a job as good as the one I had when I went back. And another one was that I wasn't sure how to even start. Here are some reasons that could be an obstacle for you as well, as I have seen them being the reasons for many people, including myself in other long-term trips I did. And they are language. I didn't know any English before I went to US for the first time. Safety. I did a research and a lot of people actually showed concerns about other countries' safety levels, and kids, mortgage, and so on. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes to brainstorm again and enjoy the background music. All done? Let's do the same as we did for the reasons to travel part. So let's group them into categories. And I'll show you my example first. So I chose money, career, mindset, and other influences as my categories. And I just copy and paste the reasons that I came up with on my brainstorm session into those groups. And again, we need to prioritize them. So from top to bottom, please prioritize. Here is my example. So my main one was money, followed by career, mindset, and other influences. So take a minute for you to do your own. So what is on the top of your list? Let's find out how to overcome it. For mine, it was money. What a surprise. The money was the top one reason for me. I thought traveling was too expensive, and you might think so too. Well, let me show you how I overcome and how you can set yourself up to do the same. First, before we proceed, give yourself a deadline. And I would suggest something between 6 and 12 months. Less than 6 months, it might be too tight of a deadline and it will put unnecessary pressure on you. More than 12 months, it starts getting too far away and it gets harder to focus on your goals. So somewhere between 6 and 12 months is ideal. I gave myself about a year to prepare. Then I want you to put it all, everything that you learned so far, in a statement. So in 12 months' time, I want to travel long term because I want to spend quality time with people I love, but I believe money is holding me back. Guys, I hope you can see how powerful this statement is. It shows clearly where you are at. Understanding why you want to travel and why you feel that you can't is already a huge achievement. Most people don't have clarity on that. Therefore, they don't do anything to change that. You, my friend, are in the right path, and I'm so excited for you. Are you ready to dive even deeper? So we are going to set goals to overcome whatever is holding you back. But before we do so, I need to teach you how to write goals. Have you heard about SMART goals? SMART is an acronym that you can use to guide your goal setting. It's super popular in the business world, but you can apply on anything. So the idea here is that a goal should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Let me give you my example. So let's look at your top obstacle for now. Later, you should also create goals for each obstacle category you came up with. This was my SMART goal back then to overcome the money category obstacle I had. So I said I will easily save 13.5K in the next 12 months. So as you can see, there's an action associated to it, which is save the money. It's measurable. I can measure the 13.5K goal in the next 12 months, so it's trackable. I gave myself a deadline. So as you can see, that's how you should write your goal. It's specific and is relevant for your problem as well. So money was also holding me back, and I definitely didn't have enough money saved for a long-term travel. Let me tell you how I came up with this goal. I wanted to travel for at least a year, but I decided that I needed money to cover at least my first 3 months. I would then make money with my business on the go. That was the plan. I believe that if I didn't make any money on the go and I had to go back in 3 months, the whole experience of traveling for that long, 3 months for me was already a big deal, guys, would be worth it. So I had 12 months to make and save money that would cover me on the road for at least the 3 months. Therefore, my goal was to save 13.5K in the next 12 months. But how did I get to the 13.5K figure? At the time, I assumed 100 US, about 150 Australian dollars, rounding the numbers up, per day for a couple was a start point based on my research. This research, guys, was a nightmare. I couldn't find much, and it came mainly from bloggers with different travel styles, and it made me even more confused. It was also hard to find up to date information, sometimes with information from years back. How could I trust those budgets? I couldn't. I had just to pick a number and stick to it. And the number was 100 US per day, which was about 150 Australian dollars for me and Liam. And thinking of that, when I started Travel Upstream, I asked myself what tools I could create to help long term travelers. And a cost calculator was like a must have. That is what I needed back then. So I created one. And let me show you, because this tool is gold, and if money is also one of your obstacles, this tool would be a start point for you to set your goals. If you go to my website, you click on VIP room, you go down, you have the cost calculator tool here. You need to be logged in to access, and here it is. So just so you know, this calculator is linked to the Numbeo database. Numbeo is the biggest cost of living database in the world, so the data comes from there. You can understand a little bit more about how this calculator works by clicking here, but it's pretty much, you can choose your currency, the budget type, the number of people that you're traveling with, if it's just you or if someone else, how often you drink, because alcohol does affect your budget, and you select the country that you want to go to, how long you want to stay for. You can add as many countries as you want, and then it's going to give you a total amount down here. So if you're traveling long term and you want to have an idea how much you should be aimed for, this calculator does the job for you. Pretty cool, huh? So now back to these lines. Now you should have a SMART goal of your own. Take time to write it down. The next step is to break down your goal into smaller actionable items. It's just easier if you bring the deadline closer to you. So instead of thinking 12 months, let's think about the next 3 months. It's easier to think about the things you can do in the next 3 months than for a whole year. Don't you agree? As you break down your goal, it might not feel so frightening as the bigger one. For example, it sounds a lot more achievable to say I need to save 3,375 in 3 months than the big and scary 13.5. If I break down even more, it would be only 1,125 per month. It sounds a lot better, doesn't it? As more you break down, more achievable and realistic it becomes to you. So what actionable did I create for myself back in 2015 to overcome the money obstacles? At the time, I set actions such as I will track every cent I spend on my first month, so I have a clear picture in what I spend money on and identify ways to save it. I will prepare food in advance and take to work to avoid buying food in restaurants. Therefore, I need to go grocery shopping every Sunday and prepare food in advance. I'll be proactive and lead the organization of social events with my friends. In this way, I can suggest fun but cheaper or free options instead. And I'll move X amount to my saving account on payday, and I'll set up this to be automatically within my bank. In the next 90 days, I will get at least one paid client, so one client every 3 months, increasing my income by X amount. This was only some of the things I did. You might be in a different situation, have different skill sets, and etc. Therefore, it's important for you to think how you can achieve your goal based on your reality. Try to think of things that you could do and write everything down on your worksheet. So money is not your top obstacle and you are stuck in what to add to your action plan. Think something on these lines. For example, if your top obstacle was career, get a freelance job, update your portfolio and LinkedIn, study something specific on your field, volunteer in your area, and etc. If a language was your obstacle, so do one Duolingo class every day on a language of your choice, or attend a private class if you have the money to do so. Watch videos and listen to music on the language you want to be familiar with. But if your obstacle is fear, so here are some suggestions. You could get knowledge on the places you're going to, you read articles, watch YouTube videos, follow people who are doing the same, follow Travel Upstream website as we add a lot of information there as well, and so on. Now that you have a list of action items, you need to put your goals into a calendar. You need to give it a specific day. You should have action points on the week level for the first 3 months, but the first month should be on a daily level. More you break down your action, more achievable they become. The idea is to review your plan monthly to adjust to your reality and add daily actions for the following months. At the end of the 90 days, you plan ahead for the following 90 days, and so on. Oh my God, you did it! Now look at your plan. Look how far you have come in less than 1 hour. Now you need to do this planning to all categories you came up with on what is holding you back section. It's a bit of work, but the effort will pay off. So let me ask you a few questions. Are you excited about what we just talked about? Do you think this would work for you? Are you feeling a little overwhelmed because we've covered so much? It's impossible to share everything you need to know in such a short period of time. But I've tried to cover as much as possible so you could leave here today knowing what to do next. Having said that, I know there are a lot to think about and not a lot to do. I also know it's super easy to get carried away from the goal of traveling long term as life happens. So is it okay if I spend the next 10 minutes going over a very special offer I created to ensure you will really travel long term? Alright, assuming it was a yes, I have created the Upstream program, which is a 6 to 12 months long personalized support to ensure you go through the process and get the results you want. The program works on 3 key areas that will ensure anyone willing to travel long term actually do it. First, the mindset. We are going to talk about your attitude, your feelings, the way you think, your fears, your emotions, what you want from this trip, what you want from your life, and etc. Here, we focus on you in a deeper level, which will give you the strength to make it happen without giving up halfway through. Then, we go into the finance side of things. Most often than not, you will need a significant amount of money to make this happen. So the program gives you finance guidance for before, during, and after your trip. Then, the program looks into the actual trip planning side. I believe that's part of the experience of traveling long term to not plan every detail of your trip. I think in order to experience the freedom, you need to leave part of it open. However, there is other part of the planning that either must happen before you go to make it viable. Applying for visas, for example, or knowing in advance will make your life so much easier while you travel. For example, getting insurance, understanding the best ways to get money overseas, tips on how to get cheap flights, accommodation options out there, and so on. So how it works, this is a 12-session program and it's a mix of online videos and online call plus exercise and email support. Your deadline dictates how often and when the session would occur. And the sessions might vary between 30 and 1 hour. I need to make sure you realize who is this for. It's for people willing to live on their own terms and that can see long-term travel as a tool, a path to achieve that. It's for people who want more than just the standard 9-to-5 office job. It's for people who want the freedom to choose their next steps. It's for people willing to embrace change and enjoy the journey. It's for people willing to discover this beautiful world and discover themselves. Are you part of this group? If you still think it's a dream too far away from you, it's because you haven't taken any action yet. And here's why not taking action is a huge mistake. Because simply, it's better to have tried something rather than to have done nothing at all. So when you sign up, you will get access to my 12-session support program, a total value of 1,800 Australian dollars. As part of this package, You're also going to get access to the online Upstream Project Planner. This is a tool designed specifically with the long-term travel goal in mind, and it will help you to further organize your goal and actions to achieve it. When you have this tool, you will be able to have a clear picture of what needs to be done and when it needs to be done by, based on your own deadline. You will save time and it will keep you focused on your goal. When you have this tool, you'll also be able to get rid of any confusions you might have, therefore overcoming the overwhelmed feeling that usually stops people from actioning. I have spent over 6 months working on this tool to automate the process as much as possible for me or any other long-term travel. That's why I'm including it to this package. Sounds cool? So when you sign up, you will get access to my 12-session support program plus the access to this tool. Total value of 1,997 Australian dollars. And that's not all. When you invest today, you are also going to get access to the suggested itinerary based on different types of travels. It will give you direction and ideas for you to come up with your own. When I first decided to travel around the world for 1 year, I realized that I wanted to go to way too many places. I realized how amazing and big this world is. It might sound obvious at first, but I don't think I had a real idea until I had to actually decide where to start it from. It could be literally any way. There were way too many options to choose from. I started feeling overwhelmed, and something that's supposed to be super fun was actually stressing me out. There is actually a scientific term for it, choice overload or overchoice. I'll read that for you. The phenomenon of overchoice occurs when many equivalent choices are available. Making a decision becomes overwhelming due to the many potential outcomes and risks that may result from making the wrong choice. Having too many approximately equally good options is mentally draining because each option must be weighed against alternatives to select the best one. Mentally draining is a good way to put how I felt. And that's why I added some suggested itineraries. Anyway, that was just a fun fact for you. So I spent hours and hours researching until I actually made some choices for myself. But you won't have to spend so many hours and get your brain drained until you make your own choices because I'm giving you some suggested itinerary as a special bonus. This bonus is going to make the process easier because the recommended itineraries consider different travel types and are based on real long-term travel advice. We will have reduced amount of choices to pick from and go from there. So if you sign up today, you will get access to my 12-session support program, plus access to the project planner too, and as a bonus, the suggested itineraries as well. That's a total value so far of 2,146 Australian dollars. On top of all that, the package also includes 1 hour online call with me to discuss your trip, goals, and questions you might have. As I mentioned before, there is no one size fits all when it comes to travel long term. Therefore, this hour is to focus on your specific situation and address your specific needs. So when you sign up, you will get access to my 12 sessions support program, access to the project planner too, suggested itineraries, and one-on-one guidance for a total value of 2,296 Australian dollars. It also includes a monthly group Q&A session giving you the opportunity for you to meet like-minded people that might share the same questions as you have. And when I first decided to go, I didn't know many people who had done it before, and I would have loved to have someone else to talk to. So the Upstreamers community will be there to help you as well. So if you sign up today, you're gonna get access to my 12-session support programs, the Project Planner 2, itineraries, one-on-one guidance, and monthly private group Q&A sessions. Now, obviously, I'm not going to charge you 2,296, but if I did charge you 2,296 Australian dollars, and all it did was showing you how to travel for 1 year without breaking the bank, would it be worth 2,296? And if all I did was to show how to make your long-term trip happen without any hassle, would it be worth it 2,296? And what if all I did was to ensure you embrace this decision and take action to make it happen? Would it be worth 2,296? I had two choices with this program. I could have created a generic approach and sell it as cheap as possible and try to sell as many as possible. But the problem with this approach is there are way too many variables in someone's life when the goal is to travel long term. I wouldn't be able to cover it all and it would be too superficial and low value for you. So I decided to go with the second option, where I provide more personalized program, which obviously requires slightly high investment on your side. But in exchange for that, we can dedicate more time and energy to your specific situation and therefore help you to guarantee your success in traveling long term. If you travel for 1 year, what is that worth for you? How much would you pay to ensure you are doing everything you can to make it happen? You can probably see why people would pay 2,296 Australian dollars. Because it's not a cost, it's an investment. It's an investment in yourself with a priceless reward. You saw paying 2,296 is already a great deal. But because this is my first workshop, I'll give you a 90% discount if you register today. The price will come down to 230 Australian dollars only. And the program has only 20 spots available. If you're still not sure about it, I have a 100% money back policy. If you, after the first session, decide this program is not for you, I will give you your money back and you have nothing to lose. So just to refresh your memory, here's what you will get with this program. When you sign up, you will get access to my 12-session support program, access to the Project Planner 2, suggested itineraries, one-on-one guidance, and monthly private group Q&A sessions for only 230 after the 90% discount. The 90% discount is valid for only the 21st spots available. Habits are really powerful and really hard to change. I have already traveled the world 4 times before. I have already been through this whole process few times. So it's no longer hard for me to change my habits to get on the road. But this is not about me, it's about you. If you leave the workshop now, you might think you learn a lot of cool stuff. But my guess is that by tomorrow morning, you will have already slipped back into your normal routines, right? You will just do what you have always done. This is what most people do. But because I can be your coach, your project manager, your long-term travel advisor, I'm not going to let you go back to your old habits. I'm going to make sure you are taking actions to travel long term. I will make sure you are on the right track to overcome your obstacles. If you want real results, you need to go through this process, and I'll be there guiding you. That's what you will get when you invest today. So click on the register now to secure your spot. So you leave this workshop today with an actual plan of attack. Now it's on you. Go take action. As I mentioned before, there's heaps of information on long-term travel on my website, wetravelupstream.com. Follow me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm there showing a bit of my own journey as a traveler, as an entrepreneur, and as just a normal person. And if you like this video, share with your friends and family if they also understand why you want to travel long-term and the process you'll be going through. They will more likely give you the support you need. If you just want to share on social because it was awesome and you want the world to know you are taking action, use Become an Upstreamer and Upstream Workshop hashtag so I can see you have joined the movement. And that's it. Thank you guys. Showing up is the first step to making a change on your life. And make sure that you jump in there now and secure one of the 20 spots available. Bye guys and enjoy the rest of your day.